Hello and welcome to jasonnewland.com. Vinny, why don't you eat your breakfast? I've just put his breakfast down there and he's not eating it. He didn't have his dinners last night. But then he was eating treats when we were out, like walking. But they're not treats, they're actually food, dry food. What's that on your nose? What is it? Eggshell. I don't have anything, Vinny. Just please eat your dinner. It's very stuffy in here right now. The window was open all night, actually, in this room. Just, on the latch a little bit. But just come in after taking him for a walk. I've got the 1, 2, 3, 4 lights on. Just it's a bit stuffy, a bit dusty, a bit. Never mind. So this is Q&A Friday. Q&A Friday. Tis. I got 6 questions on my Jason Newland's boring group on Facebook, which you can join if you like. My YouTube channel is at Jason Newland, and this video will be on there as well as all the other videos. I mean, I'm wondering, I don't know if I'm going to, I don't know about the old videos. I might just continue. I'm still going to do the podcast. I'm sweating. Apparently it's 10 degrees outside, some fella told me. Just counting a huge thermometer. That was surreal. It's weird. I'm walking down towards the park, and do you know the road signs that say 20 miles an hour or 10 miles an hour because it's outside of school? There was a picture stuck to it. So I don't know what that was about. I generally don't know. But it wasn't like a photograph. It was a photograph, but a cut-out photograph, almost maybe in a paper or something. In fact, I want to check this. I wonder. Maybe something happened that I'm not aware of. I thought I would have been aware of stuff that's happened around here, though, just generally, roughly. I really don't know. Right, I'm going to do a little bit more research there. Maybe I'll take a picture of it later and see if there's any kind of identification thing. Because you can get apps, can't you, where you put a picture and it will find that same picture online. Just seems a bit weird. I mean, it's probably been stuck on really properly, not just some blue tack, which is what I would do. I don't know what they used. Well, it's like more than sellotape. It's proper on. So I don't know what that's about. So, boxes on. It started 37 minutes ago in Australia. It's on DAZN, and it's a big event. So I will watch that, but I'll do this first. Because the good thing about it is if I start watching an event halfway through, I can then just fast forward through the chitter chatter, and just watch the fight. And if I'm not enjoying a fight, I can just fast forward through that fight to the next fight. So it's just a lot easier. I mean, I could just wait and watch it this afternoon, but I quite like watching the big fights live if possible. And it started at 8. I reckon the final fight will be on about 11, roughly. So yeah, plenty of time. And sometimes the early fights, the earlier on the bill can be much better than the actual main fight. So we'll see. Right, anyway, question time. Ben asks, have you got any tattoos? Who is it? Oh, there it is. I'm looking at I can't find it. There it is. That's a really weird moment then. I'm going like that and it's not on there. Like, I can see it, but I can't say, like, oh my God, I'm like a vampire. Or my tattoo's a vampire. But it's not. If you look, that is, that's the only one I got. For some reason, I can't seem to turn my arm all the way around without banging the microphone. There you go. That's the tattoo I've got. Yeah, you can see that. It's like a Chinese dragon thingamajig. I've had it since I was 16. It's got little horns. It's not particularly bright these days because it's been on there for nearly 40 years. Blimey. I can't get my head around age. I can't. I don't know why it's so complicated. I can't. I can't get my head around the idea that in literally 1 year's time, it'll be 40 years since I left school. I cannot wrap my head around that. I just can't. I can't. I genuinely struggle with that. Not in even a negative way. Just I can't. I just can't. How can that be? And I think about even like a girlfriend that there's a couple of girlfriends in the past I think about now and then, or a couple of near misses. Near misses? By that I mean like if I'd have, yeah, they liked me, but I didn't do anything about it. That's what I mean by near misses. Mistakes. And yeah, I had a girlfriend in 1995. 30 years it will be in a few months' time. 30 years. I just don't, honestly, I can't, I don't. It's like the 90s dragged on. It didn't go fast. The 80s didn't go fast. The 90s didn't go fast. The 2000s went a lot faster. The 2010s, like, just zipped by. 2020, we're halfway through that already. 2020s, rather. So it's weird because I see George Foreman passed away, and he's a boxing legend. And so anyone that likes boxing is going to be, but he wasn't old. He was like 76. He wasn't like, I didn't know he was unwell, which I think he was from the explanation. He passed away peacefully, surrounded by family. So I'm guessing he was unwell. You could say, well, yeah, he died. But I mean, like an illness or something. I know he had a lot of arthritis. So I saw a documentary where he was, I don't know what the name of it was. It was funny though. And it was him, William Shatner, and there was another person. I can't remember. These were like famous American men. I don't know. It might be another sports personality, but they were just moaning. William Shatner and George Foreman were just moaning at each other the whole time, and it was funny. It's very funny. Yeah, it's weird. There's a lot of things about old George Foreman that I think the average person, I say the average person, like I call myself exceptional, isn't it? Not that, just that what I used to think until I looked into it. My impression was George Foreman, and this is the impression I was given by the press because I was a little kid at the time. I didn't know what, don't remember it. But by the press in the 90s, or late 80s, when George Foreman came back, my impression was he won the world title, he won the Olympics, he won the gold in the Olympics, he won the world title from Fraser, knocking him down multiple times. He lost the world title to Ali by being knocked out. So far, so correct, yes. Then he retired. And then he came back in 1988 and then went on to win the world title again. That bit's also correct. But he had quite a few fights after the Ali fight. He didn't just quit, he fought again. And he was heading towards a world title fight, a return match with Ali. But in his last fight he had at that period, although he won, he lost on points. He was so dehydrated and sunburned and like really ill that he quit boxing, and that was it. He'd had enough. And he had a rematch with Fraser, knocked Fraser out again during that little period of like 2 or 3 years. I mean, it wasn't like, oh, he had one fight. He was going for years afterwards. And one of the best fights, and it's almost like um, a little hidden gem in the boxing world. And if you like boxing, if you want to see one of the best heavyweight fights ever, I mean, you could argue it's up there with any other really amazing heavyweight fight. I'm not talking about a Mike Tyson fight when he goes and knocks him out straight away, or however spectacular all that was. They were never good fights because it was one-sided a lot of the time, in his early days. I think it's only after he lost his world title that it started to get a bit more competitive, because with Mike Tyson, his opponents saw that he wasn't invincible. So they took more chances. Someone like Riddick, um, um, Razor Ruddock fought him twice, lost twice, but he really, he gave him a good old fight. And even when he came out of prison, he was knocking everyone out to win 2 world titles until he came up against Evander Holyfield. And that was pretty much the end of his career, really. After being beaten twice, well, the second time disqualified, the rest of his career was just a bit of, people wanted to see him, but he never got back to what he was able to do. So I wouldn't put Mike Tyson down as being in any of the greatest fights. Maybe Evander Holyfield, the first one, that was a really good fight, but he got beat, by everyone else after that, like Lennox Lewis, Danny Williams. Um, I lose track. But George Foreman, one of the greatest fights. I think it's Mike Tyson. In my lifespan so far, Mike Tyson is far and wide the most exciting heavyweight boxer I've ever seen. He just was. Even when he was at his most worst, he was still exciting. It's strange. It's a weird thing. It's just there was a phenomenon. He was something about him. But I remember seeing him long before he won the world title. And he was a program called, I think it was called Seconds Out. It used to be on late at night in 85, 86. So Nigel Benn and Mike Tyson would both be mentioned. And they were both quite similar in the sense that they were knocking everyone out and they were having lots of fights every year. And it was almost turned into the Mike Tyson, Nigel Benn show. And so when he fought for the world title, Mike Tyson, I don't think I wasn't surprised when he won it, to be honest. I think I remember the ring walk. The only thing they were talking about with the ring walk is that he was wearing the same coloured shorts as the champion. And apparently, because the champion, who was, I forget his name now, because the champion was wearing black shorts, Mike Tyson wasn't allowed to wear black shorts. And if my memory is correct, they fined him $50,000 for that. A little bit excessive. I mean, in some ways, isn't that a bit like, okay, it's a bit dodgy. So you're saying the only way we can tell a difference between these two fighters is by the colour of their shorts? That sounds a bit going into dodgy territory, but I don't think that was the reason. I don't know what the reason. It just seemed a bit silly. A way to get 50 grand from him. So he walked in without any socks on, flip flops, his little towel, little Paddington Bear towel. I think it was amazing. Okay, yeah, the fight that George Foreman had that was phenomenal in his heyday, because regardless of what he achieved later, his heyday was, when he was a young man. He had a fight with Ron Lyle, which is one of the greatest heavyweight fights. It wasn't for a world title, but they were two big names. One was a former world champion, another one had fought for the world title and lost on points, I think, or maybe got stopped. I don't know. But this was Ron Lyle loses, and I hope I haven't spoiled it for you. I hope it's too soon. I mean, it's been 50 years, so I think it's all right. 50 years. I don't know. Should I have waited a few more years before telling you who won? But what a back and forth. Honestly, if you're a boxing fan, and if you're not, you probably might know this anyway. But if you didn't know it, check it out. It's I don't have any other tattoos. Ben, I thought about it. My friend Luke downstairs, who he used to live downstairs, he was what he wanted to do was turn this tattoo into Andre, like make a tattoo of Andre on there. But I don't know, there's something, it's like, I can't show it. I can't believe I'm not very bendy. This, I don't know, it's part of me now. It's been there for so long. It's faded. Very much like, I guess everything's faded a bit. But it's part of me. And there's even been times when I've had people coming up and like, oh, what's that of? And if I like them, I say, oh, it's a Chinese dragon. And if I didn't like them, I say, it's your mum. No, I wouldn't. I would never say that, blimey. Sometimes I say it's my mum, just to make them laugh. It didn't always work. I don't think I'll have any tattoos, but this is weird. I'm not really into tattoos anymore, really. I've got one, not really into them, not against them. I just don't, not really into them for me. And I've never dated a female. There's more the sentence coming. I have had girlfriends in the past. I've not dated a female with like a lot of tattoos. I've dated women with tattoos, but it's only two that have like really caught my eye, or three maybe. I was walking into this comic shop. This is cut back, oh, blimey, in the last 10 years or so. Wow. I don't know if I'm going in now, I'm going past it, but we kind of bang into each other a little bit, not, just. And she's covered in tattoos. But it's like, oh, wow. There's something about her I liked. It might have just had nothing to do with her tattoos. It might have just been pheromones. And, you know, my brain was activated to be interested, regardless of what she was doing, I don't know. But she intrigued me. And when I say a lot, I mean a lot of tattoos, like completely covered. And the thing is with tattoos, if you go back to the origins, it's kind of like keeping a track of our lives, isn't it? It's a little bit like the cave walls during cavemen. For those that don't believe that there was cavemen, no, dinosaurs weren't there. Dinosaurs never existed. Yeah, these big fossil bones that we're finding that just happen to go together to create this massive monster the size bigger than a house. It is just, it's per chance. Of course it doesn't. I can't wait. I can't wait till we find a book that's written, like a really, like genuinely thousands or millions of years old book that talks about aliens coming down. Maybe this was a holiday destination for lots of different aliens from different planets that come here. And that would explain why, let's face it, human beings do look different. I'm not saying everyone looks different, but there are groups of people that have certain physical similarities. And there's nothing racist about that. It's just a factual thing. Like in Asia or in, I'm 48% Irish. I mean, not everyone in Ireland's got pink skin, but this is definitely Irish skin I've got. I've got ginger skin. I used to be ginger. I'm kind of partly ginger. Still a bit ginger, but, dark hair with ginger. I'm trying to paddle away from this subject, so I'm realising no, but similar characteristics physically, like if you go to Thailand, right? I'm tall there. There are taller people, You know, you can argue your whole life with stuff like that. Of course there are. There's always going to be taller people. There may be hundreds, thousands and thousands of taller people, but the majority of people are shorter than me. Just because I don't know why. I don't know what it is. But here I'm not short, but I'm shorter than the average. You know, the average size probably about 5'10", 5'12", 5'13", I don't know. Being 6'6", that's at the top of the range. I'm not at the bottom. Now, for a male, those that weren't born with whatever the terminology is today, used to be called, what is it, dwarfism or whatever. I mean, I'm sure that would be changed to something else. And we're all supposed to know all the different terminology as it changes. Stop. The thing is, we look at the word midget, okay? I never ever used the word midget derogatorily towards someone that was small. Although when someone was short, people used to call me a midget, so maybe it was a bit derogative, but it wasn't towards those people. It wasn't towards people that were dwarfism. You know, I always thought they were cool. But think about it, Wizard of Oz, arguably the most famous film in the world, in the Western world. The Wizard of Oz. Who doesn't know the Wizard of Oz? Everyone. I'm sure there's people that don't know what the Wizard of Oz is. Like, what's the Wizard of Oz? I'm only 25. I don't know what the Wizard of Oz is. Okay. Is it anything to do with Wicked? Yeah, it's connected to Wicked. Because Wicked's based in Oz. Yeah, I know. Yeah, Wicked. It's the sister. It's the sister that the house fell on. The house falls on her. Is it the one that... Which is Wicked about? Is it about the two sisters? Because you got three, isn't there? There's three sisters. Wicked Witch of the East, Wicked Witch of the North. Then there's the Good Witch. What about the South? Surely there should be four witches. I tried to watch the Wicked, and the lady that sings in that, phenomenal singer. Phenomenal. I mean, like, wow. She can reach notes that are like an opera singer would be. I don't know how many opera singers could even reach that notes. It's so high. I mean, Vinny ran out of the room. So she has got an amazing voice. I just struggle with new songs. You know, I'm used to The Wizard of Oz, been listening to it since I was a kid, watching this since I was a kid, but I know all the songs. We love to see the wizard. Okay, better not sing. Sorry. But yeah, it's, I don't know, learning new songs. But then the Little House of Horrors or Little Shop of Horrors, I love all the songs on there. I love that movie. It's funny. It's just brilliant movie. Rick Moranis is so good. Grease, I love all the songs in Grease. But then, you know, back then, all the main songs in Grease were in the charts. I mean, there was a time when You're the One That I Want was number one. And then tell me more, did she get very far? Tell me more, did she have a car or whatever? And then there was Sandy, and there was Grease Lightning, and there was Totally Devoted to You. I mean, there was one point they were like all in the top 40, taking turns to get to number one, if I do remember correctly. Grease is the no, it's got don't sing. Sorry. Try not to sing. Which is not going to go well because the next question is about singers. So yeah, I know it's this other lady that I was on a date actually, and she went to the toilet, so it gave me a chance to look around. And I don't know if it's the same one with the tattoos, but I was just like mesmerized by her. I said I'm not really normally into that, and I think she had facial tattoos as well. And I don't know, I just always thought I didn't really know anyone that had facial tattoos until my friend Luke. He had facial tattoos. He had tattoos everywhere, and he had tattoos on his eyes, and so there was a part of me when I was younger. I didn't want to be that distinctive. I thought, if I do get in trouble at some point, I don't want to be that findable. Maybe this is my early days, in my 40s. Yeah, I think it was kind of. I mean, people still do, don't they? They're like, it's like if you look at someone's body as they're older, they're gonna. It can sometimes look like a book of their life almost, or a mind map almost. So you've got maybe their date of birth, then maybe a flag of where they were born, and then maybe um, tattoos for their parents, maybe tattoos. I know someone's got tattoos of the date of births of all their kids on their arm, or maybe on their leg, or on the back. If someone's in the army or the forces, the navy, the RAF, then they might have like that logo on their shoulder or on their forearm. I knew someone who was in the navy, and he had what's it? What do they call it? That thing that they drop down on the floor in the sea to stop it? Anchor. That's it, an anchor. And yeah, 'cause sometimes it could be memories of people that have passed, memories of kids being born. Um, I don't know if people do a tattoo for when they retire. I don't know. I mean, it's just, and then maybe traveling. If you travel somewhere, if you like to travel lots of different countries, maybe put down a list of countries you've been to. Or if you're into, again, if someone's into boxing, they love boxing, they might have a picture of Muhammad Ali or their favourite boxer. Or if someone's into tennis, or, the favourite singer, have a picture. Your favourite BBC children's TV presenter from the 70s and 80s. You probably had that one removed. So, blimey. So, yeah, I've only got one. That was the answer. It's taken me 33 minutes to answer that. Sorry. Um, what's my favourite band? This is again from then solo artist. If I was literally gonna have to break it down to, because I like lots of different singers, lots of different songs. Some songs I don't even like the band. There's some songs that I love, absolutely adore, and I listen to greatest hits. So maybe it was a song from the 80s, but it's a song that really resonates, and I've always loved it for decades. I listen to their greatest hits, and it's like, no, don't like any of the other stuff they did. Squeeze is one of those. There's they did a song, and I just like loved the song, but I listened to the greatest hits and just didn't really. There's one other one that I quite liked, but no, it's strange. It happened with me with Bruce Springsteen. He did a song in the 80s that I really liked a lot. Bought the album, didn't like the album. I was never a Bruce Springsteen fan, as in, yeah, he did. I mean, he has some great songs, but there was just this one was the only one that I really liked enough to. I didn't even buy the single. I just bought the album because I wanted to listen to this song, and I didn't listen to the album anymore because I didn't like it. It just wasn't. Just I didn't. It wasn't my type of music at that time, I guess. I mean, blimey, I'm sure he didn't miss that. He's a superstar, so, and he's also an amazing person as well, from what I understand. Uh, he has a. I don't know if you know this. He's got a restaurant or takeaway where he gives away food to homeless people. It's like a full-time business. He gives away food. I think it's in New York or Boston or some. Well, it's in America somewhere in one of the cities. The same happened with Prince, Alphabet Street. Um, See, I want to sing it, but I can't. Um, but I remember hearing that song, Alphabet Street, and thinking it was so good. I've liked a lot of Prince's music, right from when he first got famous. Um, but this was 87, probably. Yeah, it was 87. Excuse me. And I bought the album, but I didn't particularly like the album. Like that song. There was another song I quite liked, but it just wasn't. Yeah, I was never really a Prince album listener. Individual songs. Yeah, I don't know why. Favorite band. I'm probably, and this is going to be just so predictable, really, just because I'm going to say the Beatles. But even though they'd split up before I was even born, my dad was a huge fan of the Beatles, and my oldest brother was a huge fan of Elvis. So from the age of 7, I was hearing the Beatles quite a lot. When we went on holiday, he'd be playing Beatles albums, and so I was, I was very, I guess, indoctrinated into the Beatles. Plus, John Lennon, he was in the charts with Woman and Imagine and stuff like that. So, and Paul McCartney, of course, was like a huge star. I mean, his solo career. I know he did. Actually, the first time I really knew about Paul McCartney, I'd heard the Beatles, but I didn't really take much notice of them. But Paul McCartney's Muller King Tyre, it was at number one for 16 years in this country. And again, I want to sing it, but I can't because someone told me not to sing during these things. So, um, no, I can't. Damn, I feel a little bit limited. So, I'd say the Beatles. If I was gonna like choose, and they just had so many really good songs that I like. I mean, I can listen to, it's amazing how many songs they had that I just know. I might not know all the words to, but I know the song. Solo artist, it's like all-time favorite. It's between two. So it'd be Elvis Presley and Michael Jackson. Going through the span of my life. However, I've just banged his water thing. He still hasn't eaten his dinner. I don't know. I think there's so many that I like. Like Stevie Wonder's one of my favourite. But for me, there's albums that I like with people. So I love the Beatles. Like they're my favourite band. But if you're going to go, what what's my favourite band's album? What's probably my favourite all-time album? Oh, you know the noisy people over the fence. What have they done? They've only gone and give their kid a whistle. Just like they're not making enough noise themselves. Now they've given their kid a whistle. It's almost like, what can we do? Because this place isn't really for kids. This is over there. It's just all studio apartments. And I don't know if you can hear it. It's not the kid's fault. Good luck to him. He's having fun. But it's just like, I think some people, they have to have noise. They have to have a loud noise. And I'm not one of those people. Really not. But at the same time, as a kid, so he should be able to do what he wants, really. So there. And that's why I don't. If it was the adults doing it, yeah, that'd annoy me. Mildly, of course. I don't get annoyed very often. Favorite band album, though, that's the thing. So if you're going to go for favorite albums, because I could listen to the greatest hits of the Beatles, but when it comes to the albums of the Beatles, the only one I really love is Sgt. Pepper. And the archived thing they did, was it Archives? Third one. I used to listen to that over and over again. But if I was going to choose an album that was more my favourite than anything else, it would be the Cranberries. There's no need to argue. That is probably my all-time favourite album, and also Welcome to Strangeville, wherever, from the Smiths. That's another one of my favourite albums. So yeah, the Beatles only have one album that I would put at the top, like, of my favourite albums to listen to. But now probably I wouldn't want to listen to it. But I still listen to Cranberries. You know, I was listening to it the other day, in fact. I mean, I wonder, is there a way of me telling you what albums I have? Apple Music. Is there a way of doing that on a laptop? I'll do that one day. I'll go through all the different albums I've got. Not got, but they're saved on Apple Music. I don't own them, but I've got a monthly thingy. That whistle's really annoying me now. But at least it's they've not let it out, not let him out till he or she till 9 o'clock. I mean, in the summer, kids out there like 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, screaming. Bless. It's good though. It's good. So I would say favorite band, solo artist, Elvis Presley, Michael Jackson. I would also say that who is my favorite? Because the lady from Cranberries didn't go solo. But if we're going to say who's my favorite singer, she would be probably my favorite female singer, voice wise. Like, so unique. But then I'd also say Bonnie Tyler for almost perfection in my ears, perfection sort of singing. Someone like Whitney or Beyonce. I mean, Beyonce is almost untouchable vocally, and I think there's a lot of differences between her and Whitney Houston. My favourite albums actually, yeah, probably my favourite solo artist, Whitney Houston, have to be up there because her first two albums are two of my favourite albums, like ever. I did like The Bodyguard, or I love The Bodyguard, but the first two albums were my favourite. Two of my favourites that I've listened to hundreds and hundreds of times. Yeah, so Whitney Houston, Beyonce, she's just done so much, and there's not that many songs that I'm like, I've never listened to an album of hers. I've got her greatest hits that I listen to, and 1+1 is my favourite song at the moment, like in the world. It's about 10 years old, but it's just something about it. It's caught me. It's like, and so favourite band, I used to love Oasis when they were around, especially the second album, the one with Wonderwall and that one. Oh, what's the name of it? No, it ain't half hot, mum. What was it? Name of the Limey. I do. I don't even see the cover in my mind. Oh wait a minute. No, that's a picture of Lassie. No, they must. What's the story? Morning Glory. Is that the name of the album, or just what's the story? I think it was What's the Story, Morning Glory. What's the Story? So I used to listen to that over and over and over and over and over again. Solo artist, yeah, Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson. If we're going to look at people that are kind of, I mean, technically contemporary, they're not contemporary anymore, are they? Because they've both been gone for quite a while. But two of the biggest artists in the world. Now someone's shouting outside. Can you hear all the shouting from here? Because I can. It's probably not that loud, but I can hear it. It's. I think what it is like suddenly it's quiet. It was quiet, and then suddenly, wow, wow, wow. I'm trying to think who else for singing. Terence Trent D'Arby was one of my favourite singers. But okay, you said favourite. There's so many I like. That's the thing. I like a lot. I mean, Grease is probably one of my favourite albums. But okay, favourite solo artist. I have to go with Michael Jackson, just simply because he's who I listen to the most. I listened to his songs from when he was a kid and when he was older. And all of my favourite albums ever, Michael Jackson's ones comes at the top of the list. Although I would argue that Elvis Presley's Christmas album is possibly at the top of the list of all of them. Possibly. So I love that album. And it's got I Believe on it. I just love his version of I Believe. So Michael Jackson's albums that I love, there's the ones when he was a kid, like Ben, and all of it. I've never heard an album I didn't like, to be honest. Even the stuff with the Jacksons, Jackson 5, his solos. But if you go from 1978, I think it was 78 or 79, Off the Wall. Loved that. I was listening to that yesterday actually. Off the Wall, then Thriller, then Bad, then Dangerous, then History, then Invincible. So that's 6 albums that I love. Invincible, it's I'm not going to say, I don't mean weakest in a bad way, but it's at the bottom of the pile, I would say. Say if that was a fist, you're pushing the fist in, and that was kind of the wrist is um the fingers that'd be the albums. I don't know personally. I know that Thriller was the biggest selling album of all time, but it's not my favorite album of his. My favorite albums are Off the Wall, Bad, and Dangerous. Those are my 3 favorite albums of his as an adult. Thriller, yeah, I suppose Thriller would be 4th out of his adult albums, because he did 5, didn't he? Off the Wall, Thriller, Bad, Dangerous, History, and I did like History as well though. So yeah, maybe individual songs from Thriller, but yeah, I don't know. I just prefer Bad. There's more of a memory for me, because with Thriller, Thriller was 1981 or something, like 82. It was all right, but it was a little bit overplayed in a way. It was just like constant. It was the most played song, and he was everywhere. Michael Jackson, and just I liked, obviously I'm a big fan of his, so I liked his stuff. But I think as I've got older, I don't really feel nostalgic towards the period when I was 12, but I feel a bit more nostalgic towards like 1987 when Bad came out, because I was no longer at school, and I used to listen to the album Bad like every day. Stevie Wonder's another one. I mean, probably all of Stevie Wonder's albums when he was like, big. Like when he was active, I mean, like creating albums. I don't think he's released an album for like 20 years. a new one, but there's a few. The last album I bought of his was called Characters, and that was 87. And then he did the one which was Overjoyed, which was before that, which was probably about 85. That was the one with I Just Called to Say I Love You, I think. Yeah. And the one before that, in did I say what did I say? Overjoyed, In Square Circle. That was In Square Circle. And then the one before that was I don't remember the name of it. It's a sun on it. Anyway, so I'd say Michael Jackson. Also, I love his songs when he was a kid as well. So Ben, I can't sing. Oh, can we please have other vote for Whispers? Well, Ben, I don't know if you noticed, I did a Whisper Wednesday on Wednesday just for you. So I saw your question because you posted this 2 days ago or 3 days ago. So yeah, I thought, yeah, I'll do a Whisper Wednesday. I don't know if I'll do another one, but I did one. And so yeah, I hope it was all right. So thank you, Ben. Next questions is Hillary. When was the last time you spoke to your older brothers? I can't remember. The oldest one, last time I had an actual proper conversation was many years ago. What was that? Many years ago, sort of 2006, 2007. That's the last time I had an actual conversation. And the other one would be 1995, I think. Yeah, so a little while. What's that, 95? 30 years, and the other one's about 18, 19 years. So yeah, it's a little while. And Christine asks, do you get anything when the chip van visits? Sometimes I do, but not so much at the moment. Yeah, I'm trying to, apart from the fact it's a bit expensive. You get one sausage, right, and some chips, 17 cans of Coke, 4 pieces of fish, and what else? 3 pies, a Savoy, 6 fish cakes, and oh no, they don't do buttered rolls anymore. What's the thing that scampi? Yeah, 5 portions of scampi. Costs a lot. But I have done, but I don't go there a lot. My neighbour goes there regularly, and he does offer to get me stuff. And occasionally, you know, I'll say, okay, well, if you get Vinny a sausage, I can't say it quietly in case he hears me. And you know, he's up for that. He loves it. He loves it. Sausage. Just thinking, do you know those half-cooked dough rolls? If you freeze them, can you just cook them straight from frozen, or do you have to defrost them? So yeah, I don't really get anything from there anymore. But yeah, you know, every now and then I might do. If I got some bread, and I might just have a chip sarnie, you know. But it's not anything with chips to me. It's not really a meal. like a sausage, and it's not. It's just a snack, an unhealthy snack. And so, thank you for that. So, thanks you, Ben, Hillary, and Christine. What's the next question? Michelle. For some reason, Michelle and Maria and Christine, there's no pictures coming up. I don't know if it's the internet. Do you think your mental health was affected because of your early childhood experiences? Yeah, yeah. Without going into any kind of details, I mean, it's a mixture, and we're all affected, aren't we, by stuff that's happened in the past. I'm affected by things that happened yesterday. Um, Things like that, like with the bipolar and the personality disorder, it can be a mixture of genetics. It can also be a mixture of, well, stuff. We're going to say the word stuff that happened in, early life. Um, but, there's certain things, different things. But with the genetics, I mean, they do twin trials. So someone with a personality disorder, they have a twin. The twin is like 3 times more likely to also have a personality disorder than the average person. So, genetics do have a big thing. And with things like bipolar, if you've got parents or siblings with it, then there's a good chance that things like mental health stuff can be hereditary. And this is not me saying this, is scientists saying this. So it's a mixture. It's, um, it's a mixture of different things. And I mean, what I might do, it's interesting because Hillary and Michelle, you both mentioned things that I don't really talk about. I'm trying to talk those specific things. Generally don't talk about in these podcasts because it's not particularly pleasant, But at the same time, I do like to be honest, and I'll try and answer, but in a way that is possibly a little bit too vague. Ask me if I've got any tattoos, and I'll go on for like 6 hours, even though I've only got one tattoo. It's just me, but there's only a certain amount of stuff I can really say when it comes to like family and childhood stuff to do with mental health. But in answer to your question, hugely, Michelle, hugely affected. But at the same time, also by other stuff that's happened, and it's, I think it's like if you looking through, you see the world, we see the world how we see the world. It started off quite philosophical when I said that, and I realised I'm not sure where this is going. But I don't know, for example, if you're in a really good mood, like a really good mood, or let's say you just won the lottery. I'm not talking about millions. Maybe you might have won £200 on a scratch card. You're going to be in a good mood. You can't not be. It's going to be like, as especially if it's happened right at the beginning of the day. You go to the news agents and you just get your weekly scratch card on the way to work, and you get to the office, or maybe you're on the bus and you scratch it because it's a scratch card, and you've won, £150. or £200 or, £500, whatever. It's like, that is a lift. It's just standard human thing, isn't it? It's a lift. It's like, whoa. Yeah, it may not change your life, but it definitely changes how you feel. So everything that happens during that day, maybe not everything, but a lot of stuff that happens, you can be looking through those eyes of someone that's won £200 or $200 or whatever. So things that might normally be a little bit annoying may not be so annoying. And then you flip it the other side. If you wake up and the shower's not working, electricity's run out, things like that. It's just been a bit of a rubbishy start to the day. Even things that don't normally annoy you might annoy you. And that's a really mild way of just saying that I think I was looking through different eyes, definitely different eyes to what I do now. I mean, it's still the same eyes, but I didn't have the knowledge, the ability, I guess, maybe to try and to see things differently. So I've tried to do that over the last 25 years, tried to work on that. Yeah, definitely affected. Um, but then it also affected my childhood experiences, if that makes sense. So my life's been affected by what happened when I was a child, but then other stuff when I was a child was affected by that previously, so because maybe some of my behavior wouldn't have been like that as an adult or as a whatever. So it affected my experiences as I got older as well, which then affected my mental health. So yeah, it's some of the decisions I've made. I've not always been fantastic. Anyway, I won't get stuck on it, but yeah, I do agree. I do believe that. And maybe I'll do a recording one day, but it's going to have to be, I don't know, maybe I just have to, I don't have to do anything. Maybe that'll be my book. The thing is, if I do write a book, which I do plan to, just I just want to put down my side of the story, my whichever side it is at the time. But I just like to write down what happened, and I don't know why, but I do. I've wanted to do that for a long time. However, I don't want to write about other people, so I don't want to say anything derogative about other people. Um, so how honest can I really be? And also, I want it to be funny. So if I ever wrote a book, I want it to be amusing. I want it to make people laugh. And it's a weird mixture, a very weird mixture. So I think if I ever did get around to doing it, and I've kind of started the process a little bit, if I ever did get around to finishing writing a book, it's either going to be really, really bad, or it might be quite good. Whether it be really good, I don't know, but it would definitely it is a fine it's a fine line between it being really bad and being okay. But I'd like it to be really funny. That's what I'd like. If I'm honest, I mean, I'd rather just talk about the funny things that happen. But then that's not real, is it? If I miss out the other stuff. So yeah, we'll see. Maria asks me, what's your favorite mode of transport? Did you ever drive or have a particular interest in cars? Never, ever had an interest in cars. Never. I used to like drawing flying cars for some reason. I used to have a pad and I used to always drive, draw these things and then have little guns and wings and stuff. But no, never had an interest in cars, never understood why anyone was interested in cars, and watching racing on TV did not like. I'm very like, do what you want. You know what I mean? That's my attitude. Do what you enjoy, and if you enjoy watching that, watch it. I cannot grasp the point of it. My little brother loves G5, G7, G9, whatever it's called. Yeah, loves watching cars going round and round in a circle. Loves it. I don't get it. I don't get it. I just can't. It's not like I'm not being negative. Generally, I just don't understand why anyone would want to watch that. Yeah, I don't. But also, in a way, I don't understand why a lot of sports people would want to watch it on TV. I can see why they might want to watch it in person because the atmosphere, if you go to a darts match, there'd be a brilliant atmosphere. I don't think you're going to get that on TV unless you're watching it in a pub or something on the TV. And I've never been to a boxing match, event. I've seen hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, over the years. Yeah, thousands probably. So I don't know what it's like for the atmosphere, but I have watched a few fights with either friends or in pubs. I watched Frank Bruno win the world title in an East End pub in Stratford. Best night in a pub ever. Really was. Yeah, everyone loved each other. I'm not sure how it would have gone down if he'd lost, but it was definitely. Where did I watch the one where he fought Lennox Lewis? Was that in a pub? My stomach's churning. I don't remember. But yeah, favourite mode of transport. I don't really like travel. I don't really go out much, but my most used form of transport, other than walking, would be a bus or taxi. I don't get out so much, so my favourite mode of transport would probably, in the old days when I was out and about a bit more, probably be ferry. I like ships, I like ferries because it means that I'm leaving. It means I'm going somewhere. Um, Trains, always quite like trains. Planes, never really been a big fan of, but I'm not bothered by them anymore. I used to be a bit bothered by them. But I suppose transport, the one I wanted to do was a hovercraft. Never got a chance to be on a hovercraft. And we used to have them. Like where I lived, there was hovercraft. I think they was going over to Belgium maybe, or maybe over to France. Never got a chance to go on one. And the thing I didn't like about it is that they do travel a bit too fast. Part of the whole point of a ferry is it's slow, and I don't know, for me, it's just nice to have that time to chill out and that. But hovercraft, I've never got to do that, and I fancied that. Hot air balloons, no, that's not for me. Helicopter, I've never been in a helicopter. Don't really fancy that either, to be honest. Probably my least favourite form of transport was, do you know when you're skiing, those things that go down a mountain and you sit in them? Like the worst rides on the planet, and they shake. And every time you go over one of the like railing things, are like like that. Yeah, that was my worst traveling experience, because there's just no, just like you're in the open, hundreds of feet up. It's like the bears are all down there waiting for you, licking their lips. It's like, no. So probably walking would be my favourite. But as far as travelling, ferries. Yeah. I've never been on a big, but they're all big ships, and they ferries are big, but I've never been on a, I don't know, like a, never been on a yacht. I've never been on like a holiday, a cruise ship. I've never been on one of them either. But I have been on ships, because, the ferries are ships, and they're big old things, passenger ships. And they do have, some of them do have places where you can sleep. But I never see the point in that. We're only traveling for 6 hours, 8 hours. It's overnight, but what? Like, I don't need to lay down. Well, some people do, but I didn't. The last time I went onto a ferry was 2004, and it was to the Isle of Man, and it wasn't even busy. There was so much room. I went off because I just couldn't stand being near anyone anymore. It'd been a very long day. Mm. Ferries, bicycles, no. I would have said bicycle probably when I was a kid, but not now, no. Skiing, never skied, but I did snowboarding. No, that's not no. Parachuting, no. Paragliding, no. I was going to say bungee jumping, but that's not technically traveling, is it? That's like traveling and then just changing your mind when you're just about to get there. Um, I don't know. Yeah, probably ferries. I prefer that over flying. I prefer that over coaches. All right, but it's a little bit squashed. I think I would prefer a coach is fine if there's no one on there, or get my own seat without anyone sitting next to me. That's fine. Not the replacement buses you get on the trains. They're squashed. Not a big fan of that. But if it's not busy, coaches are cool. Yeah, I can do a long journey on a coach if it's quiet. And they do stops as well with the roadworks, sort of road services, which is quite cool. Um, yeah, probably choose ferries. Yeah, but driving, I don't mind being in a car if it's on like a normal road. Don't really like motorways. There's too much going on. And the problem with being in a car is, even though I can't drive, because it's going to sound a bit weird, but I'm not in control of the car. And I know I'm not in control of any of the other vehicles either. But with a train, it's on tracks. It's pretty good. Um, a coach is big, so it's got an advantage over the little cars. So, the cars can see it. You can't not see a coach. Ferry, again, there's room, there's space, and that's what I like. You're not like squashed together with people, and yeah, I don't know what it is about ferries. I just yeah, I always liked them. I suppose if I was to drive, I think I'd want to drive something like a lorry, something big. Yeah. So yeah, I've never been interested in cars. Never. I'm not against them. Blimey, if it weren't for cars, we'd be a bit buggered, wouldn't we? If it wasn't for delivering food and stuff around the country, I mean, wow. So cars are great, especially for taxis and ambulances and fire engines and police and stuff. But yeah, I've not really been into them. Never been a driver, and part of that is because of my spatial thing. Um, I don't. It's going to sound weird, but I never could really because I have some driving lessons, and I couldn't really figure out where to drive. So I was trying to drive near the curb, but not too far out the curb. And the only thing, the only barrier is this white line on the road, which just seems weird. So yeah, not so much. So the next question is from Ali. If you were to become an animal to live out the rest of your life, what would you choose? You can still communicate with humans, no matter your choice, if that makes a difference. I kind of like the idea of not being able to communicate with humans, being able to understand them, or maybe being able to communicate but choosing not to. So it'd be nice to be able to understand what they're saying, but I think that's sometimes what Vinny does. He knows exactly what I'm saying and he can communicate with me, but he chooses not to. That's what I think he's doing. I don't know where he is. Oh, he's asleep. If I can be an animal, this probably will sound. I mean, some of you listeners might think I'm going to say ferret or a dog, but I think I would probably choose a bird of prey, like an eagle, peregrine falcon, something like that. Because I quite like the idea of being top of the pile as far as not really having any predators. The golden eagle is pretty much the king of the castle in the bird world. Although I'm pretty sure a vulture could give it a good go of it for its money because they're huge, aren't they? But I'm too good looking to be a vulture. Or maybe I'm exactly the same as a vulture, I don't know. So probably a golden eagle, just there's certain freedom. Or a whale, you know, something with freedom where you kind of don't need anything else, just you to be content. Yeah, I probably wouldn't be bothered about communicating with humans. I'd be fine just to move on, I think. Um, so yeah, I think I would be okay to be like an animal that had no contact with humans. Almost a solitary, probably a wolverine. Maybe a wolverine, because wolverines are one of the the kings and queens out there. And I think they're quite solitary because I'm quite a solitary person. But I think the good thing about being a bird is you can fly, just fly away. And it just, yeah, it's definitely a good superpower to have. Or a tortoise. Skunk. Oh, yeah. Because humans are scared of skunks. Skunks. That'd be a good one to be a skunk. I don't know. So I wouldn't be bothered about communicating with humans, so that'd be fine. Um, an animal, it'd be solitary in nature. That's what that would be the two things that I'd need. Three things: solitary in nature, but not fragile. So I'd want to be at the top of the pile where I wouldn't have to look over my shoulder for someone who wants to eat me or something, you know? So definitely, I wouldn't be a pack animal. I couldn't be a dog really, a wild dog or a hyena or a lion, elephant. It need to be something solitary, something where I was just because if let's say if you're a wolverine, you can say hello to anyone you want, but they're not going to mess with you. But you can be friendly to people, and they've got no choice but to be friendly to you because you're a wolverine. Trying to think, or if you're a whale outside of certain parts of the world that like to mess with whales, generally they're left alone. Golden eagles. Yeah, I think I'd go for being an eagle. Somewhere nice, some big, big area, which is my domain. That'd be cool. Maybe. But then I think of owls are pretty cool. They're very meditative, aren't they? Owls. I think that's why we call them wise owls, because I spend a lot of time just sitting there, almost thinking. Yeah, that question could go in very many directions. My tummy's gurgling, which means it's time for food. And at 10 o'clock, 10:02, it's also time to probably get some food and watch the boxing that's been on for over 2 hours. Da 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 da. Okay, I shouldn't sing. Right. Um, yeah. Yeah, blimey. What other animals are there that would be cool to be? I suppose a shark, maybe. Um, but then panda, panda bear, because just eat vegetarian. They just eat those trees. Peaceful. Yeah, probably or a sloth. That's about the speed that I move in. So maybe a sloth. That might be probably more suitable for me. Because the thing is, I'd want to be a peaceful animal. And I think with sharks and wolverines are the most peaceful animals, to be fair. And some may argue that a bird of prey isn't perhaps the most peaceful animal. Although they do what they need to do, and that's it, isn't it? Like probably majority of our animals, they only do what's needed. They take what's needed. They're not greedy. I'm sure some are, but yeah. It's maybe a dolphin. Maybe I'll settle on dolphin. Or I would choose to be a dog or a cat that lives in a loving family. Or, that's loved. Doesn't have to be a big family, but just if I was going to be like a family or a pet, I guess we want to call them pets. If I was going to do that, then I'd want to be with someone that loved me, somewhere where I felt safe. So yeah, that'd be, so whether it was a cat or a dog, somewhere where I could just feel safe and happy and have my needs taken care of, I guess. Looking at him in the background, I can't even see. Is that his ears? Oh, I can't see him very well with these glasses on. He's sort of melting into the background. He is in the background, but he's kind of melting into the yellow cover. Hmm. I do believe I have answered all the questions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 questions. And I just checked no other questions have been added rather. Okay, right, that's it. Let's have a look, see if I've got. So I've now got 1,353 subscribers on YouTube. It's going slow, but hey. And yeah, everything's fine, I guess. What not going on? I started a podcast on Spotify, but it's specifically on Spotify. And I've had 2 streams, I think, so far. So I thought, I'm not Spotify, I'm not seem to get that much traffic with my podcast on Spreaker, so maybe just do one directly on there. So perhaps it'll get some traction at some point. It's called Relax Deeply and Sleep. Purple cover. So yeah, just see how it goes. Instead of trying to go back and put all the old stuff on, I just started from where I am and just put the stuff on as I go along and see how it goes, really. It might be one of those things that takes a few years to build up. A few years, wow. You never know. And on that note, I'm gonna go. Half asleep. So thank you for listening. Remember to be kind to yourself, because you do deserve to be happy. And I realised I didn't add the microphone. I didn't connect the microphone this whole time. So this sound is not going to be great. Oh well. Sorry. Bye.